Hi, I'm Kimberly. Welcome back to the Success Series Talks. Talks designed to help you get what you want out of life. Remember to listen, take notes, and most importantly, act. I love to hike, and over the years, I've had many friends I went hiking with. Well, I have one hiking experience that really sticks out in my mind still to this day. Maybe because I actually thought it was a possibility that I could die that day. I want to share this with you and tell you some important life lessons I learned from it. So I have this friend, and we have sometimes done some crazy things. Nothing dangerous, at least not intentionally, just crazy. And we've really liked to live life past the ordinary. For example, we haven't always gone hiking in places that had trails, so we've had some interesting experiences. Well, one day we decided to go hiking on a mountain close to the area where we both grew up. We left early that morning and took off. Well, where we went really didn't even start with a trail, so obviously that means we were on our own pretty quickly. So we had a destination spot where we wanted to get to. We just had to figure out how to get there. Sometimes in life, we don't know how we will get to where we want to go, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't start the process. It is amazing how, as you start, you will begin to see or understand the how. Seeing the end is what a lot of people who become the top in their field do. They set a goal and come up with a plan that is a good start. Then along the way, as situations and circumstances become clearer, they reassess and make adjustments when necessary. Don't become a victim to paralysis of analysis. You can't see every roadblock or every turn in the road when you start, and that is okay. You may even be surprised that at times the changes that come will actually lead you to more amazing opportunities than you would have had if you had stayed on your original course and could have mapped it all out perfectly. Just take an idea and check it out to make sure that it is at least reasonable, and then just start. Don't procrastinate or wait until all the details are figured out. So we took off toward where we wanted to end up. This eventually led us to a part of the mountain that no longer had grass or dirt on it. Now let me make it perfectly clear that I don't like heights, and I have a major fear of possibly falling to my death. So we could say that we needed to get up this, and my friend, who's just courageous and is not afraid of heights, just started on her way. So this mountain was filled with loose shale, by the way. I wasn't excited, since where the shale started there was a huge cliff where there was no mountain under us until after a good fall. I really didn't want to do this, but somehow my friend talked me into it. You also need to know that it was a little overcast this day. So we started up the shale, and of course we slide backwards every once in a while, which doesn't help my anxiety and fear. We had to climb very slowly so we didn't start a rock slide as well. And we couldn't go at the same time. So my friend went significantly ahead of me. So all this while, I could see every time she started to backslide. I could see the progress she made. I could see everything she was doing, which in some ways helped me, and in other ways actually made me more nervous. However, it was nice to see that she made it to a certain point. And so in my mind, if she could make it there, then surely I could make it that far too. So because she was a little ahead of me, that gave me hope and courage. And you can find people like that in your life too. You know someone who's gotten a little further ahead of you and think to yourself, well, if they made it that far, then I can make it too. So I went ahead and started up the mountain with this little bit of confidence I had because my friend was a little further ahead than me. Well, as I got somewhere in the middle, it starts to rain, making it slick. And of course, I start to panic a little more because, remember, shale gets slick when wet. So now I'm stopped on a pretty steep part, just sitting there trying to breathe, realizing that to go back the way I came would require sliding towards the cliff. And there was no way that was going to happen. Which meant I had no choice but to keep going up, making it a higher and higher climb, and what was a little more precarious in my mind. If I did fall. This was another moment in my life where for a few seconds I actually contemplated search and rescue. And that is in another talk, my experience with that one. Well, I finally got to a point where I saw a tree sticking up out of the ground. It had actually been over quite a bit to my left and was a little out of my way. But I told myself that if I could just get over there, then that tree would be behind me, and then at least if I fell, I wouldn't fall to my death, but I would just fall back and hit the tree, and it would only hurt a little bit. So yes, I took the longer route and got to the tree. It is amazing how much safer I felt after that point. Sometimes we just need to get a safe spot in life. where we feel like things will be okay. It may come in the form of friends, family, maybe an education, or a little bit better job. And then once we have that, it makes a big difference. We actually start to feel like we can make it through other things. You don't have to wait for safe spots though. You can create them. This could be having a financial safety net, extra food stored up in case of an emergency, life insurance, learning about proper nutrition and exercise, and a myriad of other things. We often feel capable of trying new things and taking small risks when we aren't completely panicked over situations. Reduce your stress levels by preparing as much as you can for the future. You may not be able to plan for every possible event, and you don't even want to try, but you can prepare so that every new change of plan doesn't turn into a major emergency. By this point, my arms and legs ached, but I pressed on. I had to keep going forward. There is no glory without pain. I just had to keep going, and as I did, the pain wasn't as bad. It was worse every time I stopped. But when I kept going, my muscles just kept adjusting to what was going on around me. Eventually, we started hiking through another section. And of course, there were still no trails, but at least we were on real dirt and grass again. As we hiked, we saw an interesting situation up ahead with these weird-looking half bushes, half trees. So we decided to go right through the middle of them because we couldn't see how far they stretched, and so we weren't sure how far we'd have to go to hike around them. So my friend was wearing capris and chacos, and I had on pants and tennis shoes, and so it was a little painful on our arms, and we were getting scratched by those thorny things, but my poor friend was getting scratched on her legs and her feet too. So by now, we were both bleeding, not badly, but it's still blood, and so I stopped at one point, and while we were just taking a break, I yelled ahead to her and said, "What do you think these are called?" Without even hesitating, she turned around, gave me a nasty look, and shouted back, "Trials." Well, let me tell you, in life, you are going to have some trials. They may be physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual. It may be the result of your own decisions, someone else's decisions, or maybe it's just a circumstance that isn't really anyone's fault. It's just life. Chances are you won't be happy about them when they come because they'll probably be hard. Well, stopping in the middle of the bushes wasn't an option for us. And let's be honest, stopping in the middle of a trial and doing nothing isn't really an option in life either. We can get mad and give up, but it doesn't really make the situation go away. Sooner or later, we had to get through those bushes. Postponing them was only postponing the inevitable. We kept going for what seemed like a really long time. And eventually we got out. When faced with hard times, keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep going. It will eventually end. Hard times don't last. Maybe you've heard the cliche, hard times don't last, or tough times don't last, tough people do. That's true. So just keep going and count on the fact that better times are coming if you keep progressing and moving forward. So the problem is, though, sometimes people like to delay things or procrastinate them. I used to do this too, a lot. But one day, I realized how stressful that was. I had to change that because every day I'd think about it. The thing I dreaded and hated was my constant companion. So I didn't want to keep doing that. So I started doing things I most hated to do quickly, as soon as I possibly could after finding out about them. Otherwise, sometimes I actually made myself physically ill to the point where I couldn't even eat. I encourage you to do the same thing as I did and make that change and start doing things that you dread sooner rather than later. Brian Tracy has a book called Eat That Frog. What a title, right? It is all about doing those things you know you have to do early on so you can have peace of mind and stop living in dread and fear of them. Despite what people may think, long-term procrastination is not your friend. True, some people do work well under pressure, and maybe you're one of those people. It is possible, though, to create that pressure for yourself on a shorter time frame. Knowing you have to do something for 6 months and waiting until the last day does create pressure, but you also have the stress associated with it for the 6 months prior to that. Our bodies and minds are meant for stress and relaxation, not for stress, and stress a little longer. Health starts to deteriorate when stress becomes constant with no breaks. Even athletes know this, and so it is built into their schedules. This is why they have times of intense workouts, but they also spend time relaxing in the hot tub. This isn't because they are wimps, okay? It is because they want their bodies to be strong so they can keep going for a long time in the future. So when doing things intentionally under pressure, just make sure you do it in the best way possible so it isn't just that constant pressure and stress that starts to cause extra problems in your life. Well, eventually our hike ended. We had a great time talking and laughing. Before the end, we were even laughing about our trial bushes. It was a great experience and one we were glad we had. I even joked about how hiking wasn't hiking unless there was a chance that you could die at least once. In the end, we chose to laugh at some of the bad things that happened. And don't take life so seriously. Things that we don't like do happen, but we can choose how we ultimately feel about them. I chose to look more at the good things that happened on our hike that day, and so did my friend. And so when we ended, we thought we had had a great day. But I know there are people who would have only thought about all the bad things that took place, and when they got home, they would just put it out to the worst hike experience in the world. And they would have hated it, and they wouldn't have wanted to go back again. Sometimes we get to choose our perspective. Actually, most of the time, we get to choose our perspective. We always get to choose our attitude. So we actually shape the perspective we have based on how we choose to think about what took place that day, the events. Was it scary or an adventure? Was it painful or a challenge? Was it dangerous or exhilarating? This was something that we both had to choose about each situation we encountered. Instead of being mad because it sprinkled drops of rain occasionally throughout the day, we were grateful that it wasn't 95 degrees outside. As a result, our friendship grew stronger and our desire to do more things like that in the future increased. Also, if we would have been mad the whole time, we would have missed all the cool things. The little rabbit that we saw up ahead, the rainbow that came when the sun came back out, and the inside jokes that we've had from that experience. Life is meant to be an adventure. When reading a story, we like that there's action, sadness, happiness, fear, unknown, and changes. This keeps us reading and excited for what could be coming. Your own story is being written right now. Enjoy the different aspects, the fun parts, and the parts that help you grow. Some of my favorite memories have been some of my hardest. They are the stories I tell over and over again. Hiking isn't fun because it is easy. Most people intentionally choose hiking and other hobbies because of the challenge and the difficult moments. Life would be dull if it didn't have any aspect besides sunshine and smiles. We would get bored really fast. Be grateful for the unexpected that keep you guessing, that create suspense. Some of them may lead you to your greatest experiences, friends, and triumphs. So my friends, choose your attitude and choose to enjoy the adventure. Thanks for listening, and make it a great day. Remember to subscribe to my channel so you can listen to other great talks. Also, give it a like and share it with others that you think may benefit.